They've never really lost their prehistoric looks, have they? In fact, in some parts of the world, large lizards took over from the dinosaurs as top predators, and we'll see more of those shortly. But back now to those marine iguanas we saw earlier, an animal that I've been so close to on the Galapagos Islands that when it sneezed, I could literally taste the salt that accumulates in its nostrils. They're very tame animals and, like most reptiles, spend a lot of time basking in the sun.
But overheating can be as dangerous as chilling. The iguanas can't cool themselves by sweating, for the reptile skin, for all its qualities, hasn't got any sweat glands. So when, around midday, the sun gets too warm for comfort, they move down into clefts in the rocks and hang there in cool shadow. By choosing their resting places with care, they can keep their body temperature very close to 37 degrees centigrade at all times. When they've reached their working temperature, they're able to go for a swim. These reptiles feed on seaweed, and some of it they get by diving. But the sun-warmed iguanas have a problem. The sea is particularly cold here. A current comes straight up from the Antarctic, and it's easy to get chilled and torpid. So they partially overcome the difficulty by withdrawing the warm blood into the center of their body. It simply delays the cooling process. However, the marine iguanas must not stay out too long. Should they become over-chilled, they will lose their energy and no longer have the strength to cling to the rocks and resist the battering of the waves.
The marine iguana is pretty unique in having exploited the marine environment, but it's not very big, in fact a bit smaller than this rhinoceros iguana. However, in Australia there's a much more formidable lizard called a parenti, a giant 2-meter-long goanna, and when it's about, much better not to be a snake.
Much of its prey hides from the sun, but the forked tongue picks up even the faintest traces of scent. The snake is extremely venomous. Bashing it breaks the back and leaves it helpless. A meal this size can last parentis a month or more. Storing food in layers of fat enables them to thrive in this unpredictable region.
When the dinosaurs died out, it's generally believed that they were replaced eventually by the mammals. But in some parts of the world, reptiles still reign somewhere near the top of the food chain as large predators. And there's no better example of that than the monitor lizards from the Sundarbans in Bangladesh.
It may have scented its way here over more than a kilometre, tasting the air with its deeply forked tongue. More than one lizard may have followed the airborne trail of odour. But possession gives the first comer precedence. But it helps to be bigger too. Subordinate lizards get short shrift. Monitor lizards evoke the vanished world of dinosaurs, but their forked tongues show that they're more closely related to snakes. Their weapons of attack are teeth, claws, and a powerful tail. In fights over food, the rivals are initially quite restrained. The ceremonial combat has been refined down the ages to establish the superior animal. And if this can be settled quickly, no serious injuries will result.
There are certain similarities not only with the early dinosaurs, but also with the animals of myth and legend, dragons. And believe it or not, there are still some places on Earth where dragons can be found, on the island of Komodo.
It's not difficult to find them. All you need is the carcass of a goat, preferably somewhat decayed and smelly, and the scent will attract them from miles around. It used to be thought that these very big ones were entirely scavengers, relying on what carrion they could find. But now we know that actually they are active killers. They attack and kill goats, young buffalo, and even on occasion man. And the reason that I can stand here with relative safety is that their eyesight is not very good. They're almost deaf, and they rely on their senses primarily on that big yellow tongue which flicks out and tastes the air. So with any luck, the smell of these dead goats is more powerful than mine, so they'll take no notice of me. They are, in fact, the kings of their island. They are the top predator. There's nothing here which preys upon them and is bigger, and nothing with which they have to share their food. So, from that point of view, there is no reason why they shouldn't grow big. And the fact is that there is a positive advantage in growing big, because, as you can see, the big ones are getting the bigger share of the food. Not only that, but we now know that these big ones actually eat small ones. So that, perhaps, is a reason why, in the isolation of their island, these kings of Komodo have grown so huge. And they are indeed immense. They're related to the water monitors of Asia and Africa and the goannas of Australia. But they're much more massive. For whereas some 2/3 of the length of these other monitors is taken up by a long, thin tail, the dragon's tail is only about half its length. Big ones, like this, can weigh up to 100 pounds and grow to over 9 feet long.